Hamas was invented in 1982. They are a resistant group. There was decades of suffering before Hamas ever existed. What he's saying is propaganda, and we are all awake and we all know.
You guys are racist. Rebel news. You fake news. Rebel news. Rebel news. Rebel. Keep zooming.
How come so many of you are wearing face diapers?
Shut the hell up, bro. You're terrorist supporters. Israel's a terrorist state. Israel's a colonial state.
Who do you hate most?
Israel's a terrorist state.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in North Toronto, and we're just minutes away from the Walk with Israel kicking off. The starting point is to the south of me, and as you can see, we have our Jumbotron-equipped truck to send our messages. And I can tell you folks, we ran into a little bit of a hassle about an hour ago with the police. They wanted to approve the messaging. Yeah, that's right. You can call for genocide of the Jewish people in the streets of Toronto, but just in case something's, I don't know, too pro-Jew, pro-Israel, that's offside.
Like we want to.
Like we don't want like you guys like. we're not saying that you will, but we just don't want you guys playing shit that like is gonna rile up other people. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
There's none of that. Well,
but the reason why I'm telling you about this is that we need your support. We have thousands of dollars worth of costs associated with this truck. If you can go to CanadaStandsWithIsrael.com, that's CanadaStandsWithIsrael.com. If you're able to make a donation to help us cover our costs, we would greatly appreciate that. What do you think is going to go down today when the walk kicks off?
Well, I think the pro-Hamas gangs that stated their intentions to come to Shepherd and Bathurst, they're going to try and take over the intersection and block the walk to the Jewish Community Center. And we're here to try and ensure that doesn't happen.
Oh, hi, sir. You're Jews.
Rebel News?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Are you glad that some hostages were released yesterday?
I'm not happy that 200 people were killed.
Okay. Which people?
Palestinians. They killed 200 Palestinians. Right now, there are over 30,000 people dead in Palestine in a concentration camp set up by Jews.
Where are you getting that number from, sir?
We're over.
Where are you getting that number?
We're over. Your right-wing press.
I believe that number is coming from Hamas. How can you trust them to tell the truth given what they did on October 7th?
Check CNN.
Pardon me?
Check CNN.
Well, folks, the Walk for Israel kicked off about 10 minutes ago to the south of me, a couple of kilometers away. And what is happening is that there is a growing mob of the pro-Hitler youth types. They're assembling here, and it's going to be intersecting the march. Now, what you can also see is several members, dozens, of the Toronto Police Service. I imagine they're going to move in at some point and make a physical blockade. And in the meantime, for the police that were so adamant about checking our pro-Israel messaging on our truck, the de rigueur chants for genocide continue here. And I've attempted to ask these people questions. They simply won't answer. I'll tell you what some of those questions are. Are you glad that hostages were recently released? Who is the most pro-Hamas political leader in Canada? Which country is worse, Canada, America, or Israel? And with more immigration, will Canada eventually adopt Sharia law? And finally, should Jews be made to feel uncomfortable on the streets of our cities and in public places? But it is a fool's errand. They just chant genocide and hatred. And to me, if you can't answer legitimate questions, well, I think the very premise of your protest, there really isn't much there to begin with.
The only problem is that from the judicial point, getting a conviction on a hate crime in Toronto, in Canada, is very, very difficult, and we heard that from the police. They do their job. Their hate crime unit has been increased tenfold, more than tenfold actually, from 5 police officers to 36, but they can't get a conviction. That's the problem. And that's why this kind of presentation, this kind of thing can happen. When people coming in and calling for intifada, which really in reality is the destruction of Israel, from river to the sea, it's from the, nobody knows, but it's from the Jordan River to the Mediterranean, which means wiping out completely Israel. And then it turns out into this anti-Semitic show that is just ridiculous.
I think what is very important for us to understand right now is that when we talk about freedom of speech, we have to understand what freedom of speech actually means. It's enshrined as one of those inviolable freedoms that we have. It's part of our country, it's part of our nature.
We know in China there is a genocide ongoing of the Uyghur Muslim people there. I don't see anybody at all protesting China's behavior. There's so many other nations in the world where similar genocides are occurring, but it's always Israel, whether it's the people in the streets or at the United Nations. Why is Israel singled out, or does it just boil down to good old-fashioned anti-Semitism?
I think the world has gone crazy. Had the world would the world stand for truth, there would be no war, there would be no Hamas, there would be no genocide, and the world has to wake up to the fact. They have to educate themselves, and that's the biggest problem, the lack of proper education.
Wherever there is a Jew, there is always resistance. The fact that they get paid to come to those events and chant their violence is we are not to be deterred from our mission to live peacefully. But when you have an enemy that comes and screams that, you bet your tuches that they will come and they will do that. They always warn you. We just don't have to take it as a granted that, okay, so that's what's going to happen eventually. We have to be ready for it. We have to hit it front face, with a face in our fronts.
So folks, it looks like the first wave of walkers is upon us. It's about an hour since they started walking, and they are going, they're going to be intersecting the demonstrators. Huge police presence on site, and let's see if the pro-Hitler youth movement stands down, or they are going to be, I don't know, wearing trouble on their sleeve, as the saying goes. That's what usually happens. So, and well, let's see how law enforcement reacts. They should be here any minute now. Well, you know what, folks? You can really tell the difference between the two tribes, if you will. The people with the Walk with Israel, you notice that there are actually Canadian flags. I don't see anyone wearing a face diaper. And what are they chanting? They're chanting, "Bring them home," them being the hostages that still remain in captivity. Quite a contrast from what the pro-Hamas people are chanting, such as "From the river to the sea, intifada." The difference could not be more apparent or more appalling. Hey folks, I'm with Dr. Charles McVitie and Ross McLean. And Dr. McVitie, this is a big event for the Jewish community and for those who stand with Israel. Where is Prime Minister Justin Trudeau?
Well, I'm sure he's on vacation somewhere because he's not doing much to stand with Israel, to stand against the war crimes of kidnapping innocent people and holding them hostage. Canada should be doing everything in its power, but it's not.
What is going on?
Yeah, look, the police are doing some kind of job where they're trying to split the baby. They think it's splitting the baby by letting everybody protest. But if they knew the Bible story well, when Solomon went there, the baby wasn't split in the end. The police have to start doing the right thing, which is not two-tier policing. We don't want to see this happen to Muslims. It certainly shouldn't happen to Jews. So I'm glad to see the police turn out today, and a fairly low turnout for the Muslim crowd.
And Dr. McVitie, we are literally in the riding of York Centre. Yes. The MP is Yara Sachs. A few months ago, she actually went over to the Middle East and shook hands with Mahmoud Abbas, a man who literally has the blood of Jews and Israelis on his hands. What in the world was she thinking?
Well, you know what, she is misguided. I'm surprised she's not standing over there with the Palestinians, because that's actually what she does, is she supports them.
Yes.
And that's a terrible, terrible thing.
I am with my colleague, Sarah Stock, and Sarah was here early on with the rest of the team as well. Sarah, let me ask you, what stood out to you in covering the Walk with Israel March, and of course, the pro-Hamas people here chanting genocide as per usual?
I think it was really interesting to talk to some of the people from the anti-Israel side. Some of them, there was this one girl I spoke to who was screaming in my face, who had an actual Hamas terrorist flag she was wearing. But there's some other people I talked to. As one man I spoke to, he didn't even know what Hamas was, and he had just been seeing some things online, and so he came here to support. And I'm like, how educated are some of the people on that side?
Hamas was invented in 1982. They are a resistant group. There was decades of suffering before Hamas ever existed. What he's saying is propaganda, and we are all awake and we all know. And guess what, my dear? With all your lies, propaganda, and everything, you will be punished at the end of the day. It's not up to us. It's between you and God, my dear.
Which God?
And you will see.
Which God?
All of our gods. We are all one. I don't know about what
I don't
God
believe
you believe
in that.
in. What God do you believe? Are you atheist? No. Yeah, it seems like it.
Ready to make a statement? Show your support of Israel and stand up against terror and Islamic fundamentalism with our new explicit Rebel News merch line. Our exclusive Hamas t-shirts and hoodies are available now. Send a clear message that lets everyone know exactly how you feel about Palestinian terrorists. These designs are bold and unapologetic, just like you. And for a cheeky twist, we've got them in a clever Arabic-inspired English font. It's daring, it's unique, and it's sure to turn heads. Order your Hamas gear now at rebelnewsstore.com. Sir, why are you wearing a disguise? Why are you guys wearing a disguise? What's that? I can't hear you. How come so many of you are wearing face diapers?
Shut the hell up, bro. You're a terrorist supporter. Israel's a terrorist state. Israel's a colonial state.
Who do you hate most?
Israel's a terrorist state.
Israel?
Israel's a terrorist state. Israel's a terrorist state.
Who do you hate most?
Israel's a terrorist state.
America or Canada?
No, Israel.
Sir, your colleague, I
Canada.
can't hear you with your colleague doing that.
Israel's a terrorist state.
Is that all you have to say?
Israel's a terrorist state.
Israel's
a terrorist state.
What do you call Hamas? Oh! Sir, where's your brother?
Israel's committing genocide. Israel's
Where?
committing genocide. Israel's committing genocide.
He used to talk, but now he started lying. Where's your brother? What? Is your brother? Sir, where is your brother? Yeah, see that? Oh yeah, that's bullshit. Yeah. Why don't you show your face? You're a coward. Leave the equipment alone. You understand? Huh? Show your face, you coward. Well, as you can see, the hobos for Hamas, they are now asserting themselves more violently. I would say that's because the parade has dispersed. There's not tens of thousands of people. There's maybe an even number or less. So now all of a sudden, like the bullies they are getting violent. And I just got shoved around on camera in front of the cops. Nothing's done. Somebody bizarrely grabbed my ass. I mean, can you imagine that? In any event, you try to ask them questions and they don't have answers. Also, you will notice almost everybody here is wearing a disguise. Why would that be? Are they really that concerned about avian flu or virus X? No, I think it's maybe they might be up to some shenanigans. And I would just say that it's not really time for the police to call it a day. This is a heavily Jewish community, and this is all about asserting their agenda. They know they're not welcome here, and they shouldn't be welcome here. I'm pretty much an absolutist for freedom of speech, but when you are going to advocate harm or death to an individual or a group of individuals, that crosses the line, and these people do it routinely. Again, I ask for such an important event for the Jewish community in Israel. Where was our Prime Minister? AWOL. Where was Yara Sachs, the MP for this riding? AWOL. Well, maybe she's in the Middle East having a photo op with Mahmoud Abbas again. It's absolutely despicable. I'll leave it with you, folks. Look at this nonsense going on. Here's Miss America again with her little noisemaker to try to drown me out. The Trudeau Liberals want to issue 5,000 visas for Gazans. Can you imagine? You want to throw gas on the fire? We know more than 80% of Gazans support Hamas. Do you want more of this on the streets of our great dominion? What do you make of this two-tier policing?
I think it's a double standard, just like when the Palestinian supporters issued their tents and set up a campus at U of T.
Yes.
One Jewish person tried to set up a tent and he was immediately evacuated. Same thing here. You do not see Jewish violence. You see Jewish support of the state of Israel, probably a support of peace. And you see a double standard where you see aggressive Palestinians wearing their face masks, advocating for the support of Hamas, and pounding fists in the air in support of Hamas, a totally different agenda.
And you know, sir, just a week ago, we saw in Philadelphia and Winnipeg at Pride parades, they were disrupted by the pro-Hamas types. I'm thinking, geez, if you're a queer for Palestine, which side do you choose?
Well, obviously, it's like there is no choice.
Yes.
Jewish people have always, the Jewish community has always been accepting of the LGBTQ community. And it goes back to values. And we believe in acceptance and diversity, and that's why we're proud to be Jewish and Zionists.
Now, folks, I'm with Ari, and something really disturbing happened. Well, it's disturbing on two accounts. You see, Ari had his Israel flag grabbed by a pro-Hamas demonstrator who then went into a big act that she had been assaulted. He was swarmed. He fought back. The law enforcement personnel descended on the scene. And what happened?
Well, you said it just right there. Just to add to that, I'm walking through over there, just crossing over, minding my own business. Two of the little Hamasnik terrorist women came up to me with their little signs, and one of them grabbed my flag and went right down to the ground, screaming and crying like I did something, right? I'm trying to pull my flag off of her. Immediately, I'm swarmed by about 20 of these little Hamasniks with their big flags. One of them came right up to me. I had to defend myself. The rest of them saw that, and then they kind of backed down. Police came right away, and they de-escalated the situation. They actually warned me that I was instigating. I was not instigating anything. I was simply crossing over. She grabbed my flag, came down right down, and started crying, like as if I assaulted her.
And Ari, this is really disturbing to me because it's almost like law enforcement is re-victimizing the victim. You were attacked, somebody tried to steal your flag, but you're the instigator? Why aren't they being charged with attempted theft and assault?
That's right. Well, they should be, but this is a microcosm of what's really going on in the big situation. Right? They attack us, and then they hide behind their children, and they cry victim.
You know, I mean, it's obviously a lot for us to deal with because this is our community, these are our homes. We all live around here, me and him. And you know, we're all here in peace, solidarity to show support with our homeland and our country. So I mean, it's obviously not ideal, but we're thankful for the Toronto police being here to protect us. Because otherwise, you know, who knows how things would be. But yeah, you know, it's a good day. There's good energy, there's good vibes. You see tons of people here, so no complaints on our end.
Folks, isn't it perversely ironic that the Walk with Israel goes right through York Centre? That happens to be the riding for Yara Sachs. You know Yara Sachs, the Liberal MP that went to the Middle East and shook hands with the terrorist Mahmoud Abbas. What in blue hell was she thinking? Well, it's intolerable. If you think as we do, please go to our petition. That's firesachs.com, firesachs.com. Let's send a message to this self-hating Jew.